This has to be the best Mandalorian episode so far. While some episodes of the third season of The Mandalorian have been hit or miss, Chapter 23, The Spies, nails the world building while also allowing the action we've come to expect to flow properly. The opening sequence, while a little longer than usual, allows some fantastic world building which not only sets up the plot of this episode and the next, but also expands the Star Wars universe. Introducing the Imperial Shadow Council builds up what is happening of Grand Admiral Thrawn, especially given the introduction of Captain Pellaeon, who is basically Thrawn's right-hand man in the Empire, if we're going off Star Wars legends, that is. We've been waiting for his return for some time now. Greetings my young Padawans, my name is Captain Jack and welcome to Star Wars Now. Now before we jump into the video, use the force and hit that subscribe and like button to never miss a video from myself and the team here at Star Wars Now. As always, if you're talking about Star Wars, then we want to hear about it, so get commenting. Okay, let's go. Yes, I have to talk about Grand Admiral Thrawn, particularly establishing Thrawn. We know Grand Admiral Thrawn is coming back. Everybody knows it at this point. Ahsoka Tano is hunting him, and the New Republic, while not directly aware, is under the impression something is at least going on, and now the Imperial warlords are preparing for his return. For example, we see the reintroduction of Gilead Pellaeon into Star Wars canon. This did happen in Star Wars Rebels, but it was only his voice. Here we actually see the stalwart Imperial officer and right-hand man of Grand Admiral Thrawn. And it's awesome. We'll have more on this throughout the week on what this means for the upcoming episodes, and maybe, just maybe, Thrawn might make an appearance next week. We'll have to wait and see. After the events of last episode of The Mandalorian, Bo-Katan now has a fleet, made up of Fang fighters, Gazanti cruisers, and Imperial light cruiser, which to distinguish it from an Imperial ship has a Mandalorian mythosaur painted on the bottom of it. I guess while Axe Woves and his cohort were chilling on that planet, they had enough time for an arts and crafts session. I do have to question why Nevarro keeps allowing ships to enter such a low orbit over the city. They really must like terrifying the civilian populace, considering the last time the city was overrun by pirates when this happened. Obviously these two groups are the normal Mandalorians and the Children of Watch do not really get along. One is a cult of Zealots who hid on the moon of Concordia while the Purge of Mandalore happened, and the normal Mandalorians take off their helmets. Heresy to the Children of the Watch. I think one definitely has more grievances than the other, but they do somewhat get along thanks to the Armorer and Bo-Katan. The Armorer welcomes them with a feast, and Bo gets a team to scout the surface of Mandalore made up of people from both tribes. It was a cool scene seeing all the Mandalorians say, "I will go."
I will go. I will go.
I will go.
I will go.
I will go.
I will go.
Starting with Din Djarin, including Axe Woves, Koska Reeves, Paz Viszla, and the Armorer. However, I do question why this scouting party is considering of basically the entire leadership of these two tribes. Obviously we know something is going to go wrong, and it does, so at least having one member of the leadership not on the ground team would work. Maybe the writers even realise this, and that is the reason the Armorer goes back to the fleet later in the episode. I still don't trust her though, she's up to something. One of the new improvements we get on Nevarro, however, before the jump over to Mandalore, is the IG-12 mech suit. There are so many people, myself including, wondering why introducing the side quest of finding an IG memory circuit in the end. Mad used a different droid anyway. Well, the Anzelians have turned IG-11 into IG-12, and at this point I wonder how long it will take for them to turn into IG-88 and confuse everyone in the Star Wars fandom. Grogu now has a mech suit, something I definitely did not expect to happen going into this episode or this season of the show. So far, it really is used for comedic moments, but there's a great scene later in the episode.
Yes.
Axe Woves and Paz Viszla are fighting on rules to a board game which is probably Mandalorian space chess, and neither Bo-Katan or Din can step in and stop them from fighting, seen as biased from one tribe to another. Grogu is the one who steps in and uses mech suit to stop the two Mandalorians from beating the shit out of each other. Din even makes a mention that Grogu didn't learn such things from himself, so it's probably that Jedi training kicking in or getting along in peace, before an attack. Throughout this season and this show, we've been wondering about who will be the next Mandalore, the warrior who unites the Mandalorians. We thought it might be Din Djarin, we thought it might be Bo, but the only person who really has shown to not only unite, but settle the animosity between tribes has been Grogu. It might be that someone from outside might be the best person to help reunite their people, because none of the animosity is there. We also get to meet a third Mandalorian tribe who live on Mandalore and just roam around on a skiff ship, which is really cool to see and does give me pirate vibes. Though the ship does get quickly destroyed by a giant beast on Mandalore, because yeah, that makes sense for Mandalore. Though talking of giant beasts, surely the mythosaur will be relevant at some point, and I was wondering if this giant creature might be the mythosaur, but alas, it's not. The scouting group go underground and find the Great Forge, or at least remnants of it, and also attacked by what I refer to as Imperial Super Commandos Mark II. It's an improvement over the Imperial Super Commandos from Star Wars Rebels. Underground on Mandalore, they're ambushed by these Imperial Super Commandos and led into some sort of trap in a very Imperial looking hallway and hangar bay, which obviously is Moff Gideon's base of operations. Gideon even appears, capturing Din Djarin with his brand new Dark Trooper armor made from pure Beskar. I do wonder why he wants Din Djarin, knowing that Din does not have the Darksaber. Perhaps he views Din as the only person capable of being Mandalore, so he needs him to stop from joining the tribes and doesn't want to kill him to become a martyr. There's a lot more to be answered, and we'll probably get to it next week. Either way, Gideon's looking fresh. Paz Viszla throughout the Mandalorian has kind of been an antagonist towards Din Djarin, a true-blooded Mandalorian and not a foundling like Din, someone who challenged him for the Darksaber and lost. However, he still has his loyalty, helping save Din and Grogu, and in recent episodes becoming more fond of them. Din and both saving his son, and even Paz even stands up for their plan to retake Mandalore. So to see Paz sacrifice himself in this episode hurts. He has come so far as a character, or rather a side character, and is now willing to sacrifice himself for the rest of the Mandalorians, making sure they can escape the Imperial base and hopefully save the Mandalorian fleet and settlers in orbit. He simply mows down the Imperial Super Commanders with his gun. That overheats and he's defeated by the rival of the Praetorian Guard, which I massively love the fact they appeared. They do look like an in-between stage of the Imperial Guard seen in Return of the Jedi and the elite Praetorian Guard seen in The Last Jedi. Pretty cool, and also their theme is amazing. So, Paz is now dead, the Mandalorian fleet is in danger, Din Djarin has been captured. What is actually going to happen next week? I hope Thrawn makes an appearance. It probably will not happen because they don't want to reveal him just yet. But man, imagine him popping up on a Shadow Council and going, Gideon, cut it out. So, considering the previous episode was somewhat of a side quest episode, this entry into the third season of The Mandalorian sets up the stakes once again. The Empire is not messing around. Moff Gideon has staked his claim to Mandalore, and it's not really going well for anyone. Also, the tension is high for once. The Mandalorian fleet is about to be destroyed by Gideon's TIE fighters and bombers, so all hell will break loose before we know it. I've got to commend the world building. Establishing the Imperial Shadow Council, while also making mention of Thrawn, not only allows The Mandalorian to expand as a show, but also means that upcoming shows like Ahsoka have much more to work with. This has also been in the works with already established Star Wars canon, anyway, or the disjointed Imperial warlords vying for power. This is somewhat the case, but more organised than the New Republic realises. This even works so well with the rise of the First Order, and has a lot of connective tissue that needs to be added, with General Hux, General Armitage Hux's dad, who's working with the First Order and has the industrial capacity to give ships and equipment to those Imperial warlords. Even Pellaeon and Hux working closely together, which makes me think that Thrawn was the one who was meant to re-emerge with the First Order, and after Thrawn's inevitable defeat in either the Ahsoka show or the Dave Filoni film, it will leave a power vacuum for the First Order, which will be Snoke, aka Palpatine's puppet. Brundle is even mentioned as leading Project Necromancer, which surely is about the Final Order, the Sith Eternal, and the return of Emperor Palpatine. Or maybe not, and we'll talk about that later this week. In the episode, we even get the Praetorian Guards, not exactly super close to the ones seen in The Last Jedi, but definitely a precursor to them. The Mandalorian is doing a great job, the likes of which the Clone Wars have done before, tying together these separate pieces of media and making the connective tissue which makes the whole thing better than it was before. I've got to say, the visuals of this episode were fantastic. The scenes of the Mandalorian fleet arriving in Nevarro stood out super well. Not to mention the environment on Mandalore that we've gotten used to seeing this season. Chapter 23 is titled The Spies. It was written by both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, while being directed by executive producer Rick Famuyiwa. Okay, Exalted Ones, that's it for myself. What did you think of the latest episode? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with the latest Star Wars news, lore, and more. You can also follow us on social media as well, but let me know what you think in the video comment section below, because if you're talking Star Wars, we want to hear about it. Okay, that's it for myself, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week for The Mandalorian Chapter 24, the season finale. May the Force be with you. Goodbye.